This episode contains major spoilers for Jordan Peele's recent film Nope. So if you haven't watched the movie, number one, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this episode? Go watch the movie and then come back and listen to this episode. But if you don't plan on watching it, just be warned, we do spoil it. Thanks for listening.
What up, my nerds and nerdites? Welcome to another episode of the Bandwagon Fan. We're talking about pop culture, scary things, scarier things, and the scariest things. There may be aliens involved, and deserts, and a giant city that a lot of people live in / other people hate visiting. I'm Alex.
I'm AJ.
And we are going to tell you about the movie Nope.
I thought you were talking about New York.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I was trying to lead it into Los Angeles because I feel like a lot of people I feel like everyone who doesn't live in LA hates LA. And then everyone that lives in LA still hates LA, but they love living here.
I have to be honest with you. I've never been to LA yet. I will be there, I think, next year. But I've never been to LA yet. But I have to be honest with you, out of all the places I've been into the US, it's pretty low on my list. And you know what's right next to it? New York. New York is also pretty low on my list to visit. Once you live in Chicago, you're kind of just like...
Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. I'm coming coast to coast. I'm coming for everybody. Midwest is the mid-best, all right? I'm clinging to that.
I grew up in the Midwest, and everyone who doesn't live in Chicago does not consider Chicago even part of the Midwest.
That is true. That is very, very true.
Just want to throw that out there.
It's kind of aggravating. People are like, what's in the Midwest? Indiana? I'm like, no, what? The third largest city in the U.S.? Are you serious?
Yeah, for people that know, AJ lives in Chicago. I have family that live in Bloomington, Illinois, which is about 2 hours from Chicago, and they don't even like Chicago. They're like, that's too far. I'd never go there.
Alex is 100% correct. Anyone who lives in Illinois know that Chicago is basically its own entity, and no one in the Midwest considers it the Midwest. But hey, that's fine. You know, I know where it is. You know where it is. You can't deny it. It's undeniable.
You also can't deny that Tri-City does have a lot of good music that comes out of there.
Good music.
It's like
food.
It's
we
the
have
crazy
some
artists.
Of the greatest. It's a great sports city. I mean, what is it in Chicago that you need except super high taxes, right? Like besides that, I mean, it's great.
High taxes and crime lords. They're they're protecting the city.
That's a bite. like a ghetto Batman, huh?
Yeah. I swear, I actually think Batman Gotham has to be based off Chicago. It's always how I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think everybody loved that they filmed the Dark Knight. It was the second one. They filmed it in Chicago because everyone was that feels like Chicago. That really does feel like it. Although he'd be working overtime on the South Side, that's for sure.
Did Batman happen to How does he get there though? Does he always in his car, or does he ever fly? A jet maybe.
I think he takes that jet. I don't know if you know, but there's this guy on Twitter who started this brouhaha a couple months ago because he was tracking Elon's jet and basically revealing where he was going all the time. And Elon got really mad and tried to buy out this guy's website. And the guy's like, no, he doubled down. And I think originally he offered to stop tracking, and I think Elon paid. But he offered to stop tracking Elon, but at this point, his Twitter kind of exploded, and now
it's a teenager, right?
It's a teenager, yeah. I think he's like 16 or 17 years old, something like that. And now he has a TikTok where that's what he does. He tracks celebrities. He tracks their jets. And the consensus, I don't know if you heard, but this week everyone's mad at Taylor Swift because people are seeing that. Well, first of all, I think this all started because it was kind of revealed who uses their jet the most irresponsibly. And people saw that not Kendall, but what's the other one? What's the other youngest Kardashian?
Oh,
Um,
uh,
Kylie. Kylie.
yeah,
Kylie.
Kylie,
Kylie's
Courtney,
jet.
Kylie.
Yeah, Kylie's jet is like literally traveling multiple times across Los Angeles.
I heard that
A
it
jet.
actually, for her to drive to the airport that she was going out
Yes.
of, it actually, she
Yeah.
actually had to drive a longer amount of time than it would have been to
Yes,
just
to
drive to the
just to
location
drive to
originally.
the location. Yes.
Yeah.
So everybody is kind of just like, what the heck? Now, my wife made a hilarious joke saying that this all of a sudden this like diversion from Kylie to Taylor Swift, because I guess Taylor Swift's jet is even worse, and it's like, people are like, this is causing a lot of pollution in the air. My wife thinks that that's the touch of Chris Kardashian, because she knows how to manipulate the media. But yeah, Taylor Swift, her jet is like the most used jet, I guess. Whether that's her or her PR team says it's not her using the jet,
Either
but
way, it's your jet. You're responsible to
it's
the
your
jet. Like if you
responsibility.
own
Yeah,
it, like yeah,
it's
it's your
your
responsibility.
responsibility.
Can you
Um,
imagine if people were like, "Hey, your Saturn View, Alex, is like it's really starting to pollute LA," and I'm just like, "Yeah, but I let my neighbor borrow it like every other day. He's the one driving around
what an
putzing through
excuse! What an
putzing through
excuse!
Compton." Yeah, like
Yeah.
people will be like, "You're an idiot. I'm gonna beat you up now for that."
Well, I think what's even funnier is that everyone's sentiment is like, so let me get this straight. I gotta sit here with paper straws, and these
Hmm.
people are really like what, like 90% of the cause of the pollution?
You
How's
think
that
there's
fair?
paper straws on that jet?
No, there's
I
no
don't
way.
think so.
Even though they could probably afford, like, I don't know, Swartzy crystal straws or something, they're probably using plastic. They
It's
seem
just
like this.
ridiculous. I
Yeah.
also know that like Taylor Swift, I know is getting like rightfully so. I think should be in like the limelight for all this, but I'm like, I think Drake's was even worse because Drake was also in like the top one for like the most fumes, and his excuse was, "Well, no one was even in most of my flights." Like it's just like you're just driving, you're just flying an empty jet around, like
Well, it reminds
because he
me of
claimed it was going to the airport. Yeah.
going to the airport. Yeah, it reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if you know, but sometimes Floyd will have a separate jet for his luggage. So like if
Oh
he's going
gosh,
somewhere, he's literally he's like, I gotta have a separate jet for my stuff. Which I don't know. That's
a
crazy.
separate
That's just,
jet just filled with
yes,
stuff.
for his luggage. Yeah, for his luggage.
Oh my
So his
gosh.
luggage comes on I don't. It's
Well, you know, The Rock supposedly travels with a full gym equipment that is also on a separate
really.
plane.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
because
man.
apparently, because he works out, he's got to look how he does, and you know, you don't want to be working out at new gym places. He flies a whole separate team, I guess, of gym equipment and trainers.
That's
Like I
that's
get the private
crazy.
trainer thing. If you look like The Rock, you got to have like
Yeah,
consistency. But
he
I'm like,
probably
they
has a
can't just
team of
like,
trainers.
but they could like go buy some equipment literally every time
I
and
mean,
donate it or
let's
rent
be
it or
honest.
something.
He could probably rent a space. He could probably rent out a gym or something and just go in there, and that would still be cheaper than taking your equipment on a jet. That's nuts, man. That's crazy. Hey,
I
if you
know.
got it, to quote, I can't remember the rapper's name right now, but it's not tricking if you got it. Okay, it's not tricking if you got it.
It's not.
Yeah,
if I
I can't
remember it
remember.
halfway through the
Yeah,
episode, I'll like
let
yell
me
it
know,
out.
please. But yeah, Alex, what did we watch over the past week?
Nope, I ain't telling you.
Come on,
Nope,
bro. we're
nope,
gonna get
nope,
all our
not
we're
doing.
gonna get all our dad jokes out of the way like right now.
Nope, not doing that.
Guys, we
Uh,
watched Nope.
we watched Nope, and I have to admit, before we dive too far into this, I I said Nope probably like 15 times, and I heard some other people in the theater say Nope.
Oh
I'm just like,
really? Oh
dang
my
it, Jordan
goodness.
Peele. I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
even if I didn't say it out loud, I like said it in my head, and I was like, no, you got me.
I
See, I
will
almost said it
say
right there.
I will say though, his use of the word nope in the movie was pretty clever. I thought it was really, really funny the way
It
the
was
way he
great.
used it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, AJ, but I was thinking of maybe trying to change the format a little bit and go back
All
to
right.
our old school spotlight.
Sure.
I want to just give you as much time as possible. Like
All
we
right.
can extend this for hours if we need to. I just want you to just dive right into this really, really complex and detailed summary. I need a
Let's take off.
summary of
Yeah.
this movie starting Drum roll, insert fake clap sounds. Go.
Nope. No, I'm just kidding.
That would have been great. I'm just like, that's the perfect time for it.
After OJ's father dies in a freak accident where debris falls from the sky, OJ now has to take over the family business along with his estranged sister Emerald. When strange things happen around the farm, they investigate it and uncover that like they're probably not alone on the farm. And so through a very, Tom and Jerry esque rigging system of cameras and whatnot, they uncover this journey that they may not be alone, not just on the farm, but on this planet. And the film kind of just goes into their journey, uncovering the truth with this entity and also themselves.
How great is that? Like
That's it.
if you didn't jump into anything past this movie, that's the summary. Like that's like
Yeah,
a minute worth of description.
I think that's probably the most impressive thing as we start talking about this. Like, I think that's the most impressive thing of this movie, that it's the plot isn't really complicated, but what is fun to pick at is just you are blitzed with just imagery and themes and backstories, things that were never really answered, right? And I think that's what makes the movie fun. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah, fun's
yeah.
an interesting description because for people who haven't seen Jordan Peele movies, they are scary. There's a lot of terrifying elements to his films,
Mm-hmm.
especially like Us, which was the previous one to this. But his movies do make you laugh. They are enjoyable, and
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like I was kind of leave like freaked out, but also like I feel like I rode like an epic. It's like the Jurassic Park theme ride. It's like when you
Yeah.
go up like the roller coaster style setting, the dinosaur comes out and then you splash into the water. So you're like, I almost got eaten by a dinosaur, but I got an epic splash at the bottom, so that was kind of worth it. I guess I'll do it again.
Well, I think that like something that Jordan Peele does so well, and what makes this movie work is that his horror isn't the lazy horror. That's what I like to call it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Lazy horror is what jump scares,
Really
excessive
scary music.
blood, really scary music. Yeah, that's a good one. The infamous the person's behind you but you can't see them. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. It's this lazy horror because it's
Strobe
been done.
lights.
Yeah, strobe. Oh my goodness, strobe light. Oh, creepy little kid. There's always, it's
Yep.
just lazy horror things that like somebody puts in a movie because they watched some version of this when they were younger, and it's just these themes that are kind of played out. And I think what makes Jordan Peele's horror films little different is that they're horror based on real world. You know what I mean? And we'll kind of get into like in this movie kind of what that means. But I think he also does a really good job of just like hiding what the movie is. I feel like too many trailers now, they kind of just tell you like this is the movie. And so many directors are so afraid that you're going to come into the theater, you're not going to get it, and then you're going to leave not getting it. And they're so focused on being like holding your hand and being like, and then they went here, and then this happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you really have no idea what you're getting into with his films. And you know what's one reason I think why he is so successful at like the genre he does.
No,
It's
no.
like he's a comedian writer first, and comedy is really really hard to write. I feel like
Yeah.
to consistently get a laugh, it's like you not only have to have like most of his comedy is based off of real events, like things that anyone could do on the street, and to make someone laugh off something like that, I think is really difficult. So I feel like it just makes sense to me to have someone who is a comedian to jump into. It's like, do you even want to say horror? Like, would you call his movies horror? Or would you call them more
I,
like a thriller?
so it's not even. I would say it's an in between. But you know how I would describe Jordan Peele movies, and I think it people who have not watched Jordan Peele's
Mm-hmm.
movies or maybe on the fence. Jordan Peele is a big fan of the Twilight Zone, and his movies are like feature length Twilight Zone episodes.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you look at it through that frame of mind, it makes a lot more sense. You're like, okay, like these are things that in theory, right? Obviously, a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
is fiction, but in theory, like, oh, this could happen, and that's the scary part, right? That it's
His
it's
films are more
always based.
mysterious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're always
Yeah,
trying to figure out like what is happening, and literally, I mean, hey, even if you get to the end, you may not know what happened, but you're along for the ride. I think that's why it's fun.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
I love I love his films, and I think what's really cool with each one of them too is all the locations are really cool.
yeah,
Okay, the
yeah.
only one I'm drawing a blank on though is like, do you remember where Get Out is based?
Get Out is based. I want to say like Michigan. Like I'm
Okay,
trying to remember if our fans know for sure. I just off my memory, I thought it was Michigan. Or I'm like 90% sure it's the Midwest.
either way,
Um,
it's like
yeah.
the location I feel like builds the premise so well because it's like Us was like Santa Cruz, and there's like this
Yep.
huge theme around
The pier.
the yeah the pier and like
Yeah.
just like the eeriness of that, and it's like this whole film. It's like I want to say it's L.A., but it's like it's weird. It's like northern L.A., so it's like
You would
mostly
never
just like
know.
yeah, it's like
Yeah, you
mostly
would
the desert.
never know. You would never know.
But there's little glimpses of LA that show up, and one of them that I just think is absolutely bonkers is like the what is the name of the Fry's Electronic? So Fry's Electronic is a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
store, and that
Was
actually has
RP.
a was and it actually has
Yeah.
a UFO like
It's
that's
all, but
that's
that's the theme.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
in
the set
California,
piece.
all the Fry's electronics were based. They all had a theme, and they cleverly used for this movie was a UFO theme, which was so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like to take a theme that already existed in a location and just like make that like I can't imagine now someone has to do it. I can't imagine someone taking like the iconic like donut that you see like in a bunch of like 90s movies in LA like just or and I
yeah.
think it's also an Iron Man like taking the donut and making that the movie. That's pretty much what Jordan Peele did with this.
I also think I don't know if you know this, but something that was so cool in this movie is like one of the ways they filmed it is that I don't know if you realize this. The whole movie's filmed in the day. It's
Mhm.
filmed in daytime, and the scenes that are nighttime, they edited it to make it look like it's really nighttime. And I think that lent itself to just very unique lighting, because something that I thought was so cool is just the way they were the way black people in this movie are filmed. You know what I mean? It's so much more interesting and engaging than you would probably see in a different movie. And that technique of layering like a dark lens over, or dark
Mhm.
filter, I guess you could say, over shots that are filmed in the day. I think that's so cool. I mean, I literally was watching. I was like, why does this dark scene look so like a vibrant, but b like engaging? And then afterwards I found out why. I'm like, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
I think it also helps having a black director filming black
Yeah,
people like
yeah,
it's not that there isn't any white people that can't do it, but there's a lot that are really bad at it. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna
Or
point
they're
that
not
out.
intentional about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
and I feel like Jordan Peele is also really good at utilizing a lot of the same, even though the same actors or like the same acting style. I think it's like every character in his film is like a character I don't recall usually. Like I don't ever feel like I see them in a different film. Like I feel like he's really really good at world building in basic locations. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like none of the
Yeah.
locations look like $1 million setups. They just look like a crazy whacked out man knew what
I
to do
think.
with a small budget.
Yeah, and I think what's also crazy is that like he's using locations that I guess you would never really think to, like, hey, let's film a whole movie in the desert, or let's base like this whole movie on the pier. And I don't know, it's just very cool how he does it. And I also think that's one of the things that lend into that idea of like, oh, it's like the Twilight Zone, you know what I mean? Because he could reuse the same people from other movies, but their characters so different. You know what I mean? And I think that's why this movie works in a lot of ways, because
Hmm.
of the characters in the actual movie. Let me just start off. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I thought everybody did a great job in this movie, just off the jump. Like,
Oh, 100%. I think Otis, like essentially the main character of the role or the movie, He's quiet, hardly says anything. Doesn't It's like I don't think he looks like a confident person, yet he like radiates confidence in this movie.
He's a
I just
cowboy.
think, yeah, he's just, yeah, literally, he's a cowboy.
He's literally a cowboy. He's
I
his confidence is it exudes from him, even if
mhm.
he may not be confident. Right? He's a cowboy. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to describe him. I just think like one of my favorite scenes is there's a point in this movie where the farm that he lives on, he can kind of tell there's some like weird stuff starting to happen. And he's
Yeah.
like in the farm at one point, and you see just this. You can kind of see like the generic like horror thing of someone like running in the
Yeah.
background,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they finally just like reveal this little like creature looking thing, and it is
I literally
terrifying.
laughed. I literally
It's so
laughed.
creepy, but it's so funny at the same time. And like I feel like in most movies, the main character would run away. He just he just sucker punches the thing in the face, and it was just like so on point. I was like, this fits Otis's character.
It was awesome. Yes, Otis's character. His father passes away in the beginning of the movie. His
Mhm.
father, played by Keith David, by the way, which was awesome. And you know, you can see that their farm, by the way, is like a family farm. They breed
Mhm.
horses for movies, right? So like you can see that there's probably like one of the things I noticed about his character is that he doesn't love the job. He doesn't love what he does. It's almost as if he does it because he's like, responsibility is more important to me than what I want to do. You ever get that
Mhm.
feeling throughout that movie? Because it's like he didn't seem like, it seemed like him, the very first scene we see with OJ and Otis Senior is, Otis Senior's yelling at him, telling him, hey, get all this stuff, blah blah blah, and he just seems very begrudging about it, and I think that's
Mhm.
why his character works so well. His character like embraces this idea of responsibility and respect, and he exemplifies that throughout the entire movie. You know what I
It's
mean?
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you point that out because like Emerald, his sister, is
Mm-hmm.
almost the complete opposite. Like
Complete opposite.
she's a
Yes.
confident character, but like
Overly
it's like,
confident.
yeah, but like very very beginning, it's like they're trying to get their first gig at like a they're like at a movie studio showcasing like one
Mm-hmm.
of their horses that they're going to use for a scene, and Otis is like dead serious. He's making sure no one's like going to mess with it, and she's just like off doing her own thing. She's like trying to get she's like she's like telling somebody about like her 15 like side hustles that she does, and it is like in total la la land. And I'm like, this is great. Like this like already shows like not that there's like a sibling feud, but there's already
No.
like such a huge contrast of character
Like
leads.
attitudes. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I thought that scene that you're referencing was such a good scene to just show where their mindset is, right? Otis or OJ was there on time.
Hmm.
He's waiting for his sister. All he knows is the horse. He doesn't know the other side of the business. Emerald, not only does she come late, but I don't know if you caught this in the movie, the speech that she's giving is her dad's speech, the one from the record. She's
Oh
saying it
yeah.
word for word. She even makes a mistake when she says my great 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 grandfather, because she memorized the speech. It's actually her great 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 great
I didn't
grandfather.
pick that up.
You see what I'm saying? So like I thought that was such a clever way to show the disconnect, because
Hmm.
she didn't take the time to say something unique. She just knows how to memorize what her dad always says, whatever. And I thought that was a really cool way just to show the difference between them, the irresponsible and the responsible, right? Jordan Peele's so good at telling you things without telling you things, and I thought that was a really good example of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden layers to his characters in the film, and I I feel like a lot of people might have disagreed with this, but I kind of hated Angel's character right away. This is like the guy we get introduced to who works at Pride Electronics. I found him really annoying and kind of just like a
Mm,
stereotypical like my life's a wreck because I'm like a rich kid in the valley and I
yeah.
like only date actors. And like I was just like, I don't want this guy in the movie, but like somehow Jordan Peele like molded him and created this like character that I thought was like so hilarious when he would show up in scenes because like he's just he's like always getting in the way and being extremely helpful, but like nobody wants
In
him
the
there.
worst, yeah, no one wants him there. But you know why I think you end up liking him at the end? Because he's the only one who believed them from the
Mm-hmm.
start. He believed them. He never made them feel stupid about what they were doing. Well, that's not true. He never made them feel stupid that they thought there were aliens there. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
thought that was. I think that's
he was like into it right away. Like,
yeah.
basically it's like the characters go to OJ and Emerald like go to try to get like surveillance equipment because they think there's like something like a UFO spotting or something at the farm. And like after like they get the equipment set up, like Angel appears at one point because he sees the footage and they're just like right away they're like, are
Why
you
are you
illegally
watching?
watching
They're
us?
like, why are you watching us? And his coworker too. His coworker's like, what
Yeah,
are you doing? Like,
so great. Like this dude just has
yeah,
no he like has no life, so I think he's just like so invested because it's like
yeah.
his hot model girlfriend dumps him, so the world's
And
ending.
the world's ending for him, and that's a very good point too. That like that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons why he's all in on this because he's like almost suicidal. And I just want to throw in also Kiki Palmer did a phenomenal job in this movie. Just also want to throw that in there too.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, we also have like a minor, I don't know, major minor character, Antler. Antler basically was like a cinematographer. His main purpose is essentially trying to just help them capture the film. His character, it's weird. His character, I don't think served any other purpose other than to give the motivation for M at the end to get that Oprah shot, right? The Oprah shot in this film is that undeniable shot that puts you
Mm-hmm.
on Oprah. And
Well,
Oprah's
there's
asking
so
you
much
like, you know,
there's so much build up to it as well because it's like remember like the only time you ever see him, um, I'd say 99% of the time you see him, it's just like a shot him like watching footage of what two like manatees like fighting.
like
He's
predators fighting a prey. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
And he's
Yeah.
always kind of
Oh
talking
yeah.
like this.
Oh my
My only
goodness. I was like,
purpose in life is to hold this camera and get the best shot in the world.
but yeah, they need his
yeah,
help because they're having a really hard time capturing. I think something that I just remembered. I don't know how I even forgot this is that the alien can disable electricity, so like they can't use the surveillance cameras they bought. They have to use like a hand crank camera. So that's why his character's there. Honestly, I thought his character was there just to be funny. I thought it was just funny, this like super serious guy, and then he has a mental breakdown and commits suicide at the end. Like I just thought that was funny. I
I'm
don't know.
just gonna point out though, I feel like his suicide scene was very horny looking.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was. Yeah,
it
it was
was
definitely
very horny.
sexual. It was
Yeah,
definitely sexual.
which shows like
Um,
the humor elements to Jordan Peele because it's
yeah,
kind of scary, but also you're like, this is
you're kind
so
of
freaking
laughing.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then our last main character is Jupe. Jupe is played by Stephen Yen
What an
from like
interesting
Walking Dead.
person.
Yeah, great character. His character basically, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but basically his character is a child actor who experienced like this crazy traumatic incident as a young kid, and I don't know, maybe you can say like trying to like redeem himself in the present day by
Hmm.
trying to tame this alien, and suffers a pretty dire consequence because of it. He gets eaten. He gets eaten by the alien. And I think that arc was very interesting. We'll get into a little bit more, but I thought that arc was very interesting because it was like, I thought his character was supposed to serve as the opposite for OJ's character. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like they were supposed to, they both went through some type of trauma. And
Well, I think his trauma scared me. I think
yeah,
his trauma actually kind of revealed to me that he, in a way, is like he's kind of the villain of this film. Like I know it's like it is
yeah,
the alien, but also it's him. Like when you like see him, remember when he's like inviting everyone to the weird like play that he's having.
yes, the
Um,
show.
yeah, I just felt like that just like segued into the theme so much. But like the one thing I noticed that was so unique was everything that he wears. Like, did you notice that like the jacket he wears looks like a UFO? It's
Yeah,
like dazzled,
it's like yeah, but that yeah,
but
or
I
the
didn't
fact that
notice that
he's
right
wearing,
away.
or the fact that he's wearing a cowboy hat, right?
Hmm.
But he's not a cowboy. OJ is a cowboy. He's an actor, right? So like I thought something else about his character too. I thought another good theme in this movie that this movie is heavy on the theme of like respect, right? Respect is such a big
Mm-hmm.
thing in this movie. OJ being a cowboy respects the alien, whereas Jupe does not respect the alien. He has a very primitive understanding of what it is, and because of that, I thought that was the one of the and we'll get into later, but that scene where he dies, I thought that was a kind of a scary scene. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, right? So I thought,
So
you
creepy.
know, on top of that, other elements of respect in this movie are things like, the fact that OJ and Emerald's family, their business has been part of the the movie industry for generations.
Well, they
But
claim. Well, I actually did look it up, and it is a true fact that the first was it the first person to ride a horse on film was a
was a
black
black
man,
man, yeah,
and they
and
they
that's
showed
their
in this
claim to
movie. Yeah,
fame.
it's their
Yeah,
great grandfather or whatever. How many? I don't remember how many
right.
greats there are, but I did think that was unique that they do take a real story and then like add it into these characters. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's the heritage part of that movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like this movie has this like, this lineage idea of just, what does that mean to be a pioneer? You know what I mean? Which I thought
Yeah.
was so fitting because this movie takes place in the desert. You know what I mean? I think this movie it's blitzing you with just all these themes and concepts, and I think what's fun is that anyone can watch it and pull something really different from it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Like
have a perfect example. AJ and I wrote out some themes ahead of the recording, and I just thought of a different one.
mm.
Greed is a big part of this film
Greed, yes, yeah.
because like
I mean,
everyone
huge
tries
one.
yeah, everyone tries to like everyone is in survival mode halfway through this film and are trying to escape this terrifying creature or this like inhabitants, and then it's like but then eventually everyone tries to figure out how they can manipulate it
Like
and use it
manipulate it.
for
Yeah, that's a good
fame and
point.
for money.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a unique part because even like Antler doesn't really care about the money because he seems to be like a rich
Rich. She's
celebrity
already rich.
director
Yeah.
filmmaker, but his greed is like needing the best
The
shot that
notoriety.
exists. Yeah,
He
it's like
wants the notoriety. Yeah.
he has a lust for that. You know.
He's got a real lust for it. And I think like if you talk to any like if you talk to five different people,
Mhm.
there five different people are going to give you five things that they noticed in the movie. I think that's why this movie is so interesting. Um, there are so many big things in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From like the big plot points that happened in this movie. What were some things that you thought were interesting?
I okay. I think like the the very first one of the very first scenes of the film, but like Gordy's home massacre was
Yeah,
terrifying.
it
I
was
felt like
terrifying. Yeah,
it was one of the maybe one of the scariest scenes I've seen in a movie before, and I thought it was done so well. And you might not know this, but uh, Gordy's home massacre is actually based on true events, loosely.
I did not know that.
So in the film, there's this terrifying monkey that is on basically like or a chimpanzee, and he's on a television set, and Jupe's character, like he's like a kid on it, and at one point the chimpanzee goes crazy and just like kills everyone on the set. And apparently there actually was a chimpanzee in 1996. It's part of what's called the Stamford Advocate. Uh, a chimpanzee pulled a woman's arm through an opened window of a parked car, biting her hard enough to draw blood.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so like there's been multiple apparently chimpanzee related disasters, and I think that's what makes this even scarier is the fact that like chimpanzees do have like a apparently
see
a
what I
very
mean?
dark side to them.
But you see what I mean? Like Jordan Peele
Yeah.
loves pulling things from reality, right? I also think that like that whole scene at Jupiter's claim, that whole massacre is just like that scene when the alien sucks up. So for the if you watched it, I hope you watched it at this point because we forgot to say this was a spoiler review. But if you watched it, if you
We can put it in the
remember,
description
yeah,
or
we
something.
got
I forgot to say it too.
I forgot to say it.
Oops.
But yes, and the alien is able to suck up people if they look into the alien's quote unquote eye, the eye of the storm, whatever you want to call it, right? If you look into it, the alien sucks you up. Uh, Jupe has this whole like demo where he's using the horses that OJ is selling him,
Hmm.
and he's using it as bait for the alien. So the scene where the people are screaming and they're stuck in the windpipe
Oh
of the
god, it's
alien, it's
terrifying.
like what the like it's and you hear like the bones crunching and the blood like oozing. It's a I think why it was so like scary to like view because it comes out of nowhere. That scene comes out of absolutely nowhere, and
Hmm.
you're just like, "Holy cow!"
And I've
You
never
know,
seen anything shot like that. You
shot
know?
like that. Yes, yeah, that's a very good point. Like, can you imagine how much more scary Anaconda would be if there was a shot of one of those characters getting like eaten from the inside? Like
Don't
that
give
would
Jordan
be.
Peele any ideas. He's gonna remake Anaconda.
But yeah, that'd be really. You know what? He might do that because I think Anaconda is one of the few movies where the black guy lives at the end. So yeah, that might actually happen.
I could see
But
it.
yeah, that was like a really impactful and like mesmerizing scene. Um,
He's always like leading you on to something and sometimes leading you the wrong way. Speaking of
yes.
that, I want to see if you can figure out this one, which I didn't notice until
Okay.
after the film.
Okay.
I'd like to take credit for it, but my roommate pointed it out to me. Click
Okay.
on the poster link I just sent you.
All right.
Tell me
Okay,
if
I got it.
anything. Tell me if anything sticks out in particular. I just thought this would be great to
Uh,
show.
I mean,
So,
so I'm gonna describe this out loud. All the people, it's the main characters, Emerald, Jupe, OJ, and Angel. They're all looking up. We don't know what they're looking up into. Um, they're wearing the things that they're wearing in the movie.
I'll give you a hint. Let's go
Okay.
towards Jupe's character.
Okay.
What's he
Is it his
wearing?
hat? Is it that his hat looks like the alien?
Yeah, I thought that.
Okay.
I
You
did
know
not.
what's funny?
It's like
You
he
know what's really
spoiled the movie without spoiling the movie. You know?
okay. It's really funny you said that because there is a really good scene. I kept saying that throughout the whole movie. That did you not think that the alien kind of looked like a cowboy hat? Right? You thought that too, right? Like the alien. And there's
Yeah,
a really
like
good
later
there's
on.
yeah, later on, and there's a really cool scene when OJ's like riding away from the alien, and the alien like perfectly like sits over his head like a cowboy hat. So I thought that was some cool imagery there. I thought that was pretty cool.
But
But
I
yes,
can't
that
believe
looks
that
exactly like the alien.
he like spoils the shot without spoiling the shot. I think
Pretty
it
clever.
actually is the alien and
I would
not
not
a
be
cowboy
surprised
hat.
if it was the alien shrunk down because it looks
Yeah.
exactly like what it looks like. It's not
Oh,
even like
Jordan Peele.
rounded perfectly like a hat. That's pretty cool. I like that.
So
And
clearly one
yes,
of the themes is cowboys.
Cowboys, and then like the last big moment in the movie too was just the alien itself, jean jacket as they call it. I thought like jean jackets, like them taking down jean jacket is just a really good third act. Honestly, it is a really good third act. It's suspenseful, it's impactful, it's effective, and I think that's really what's important. Like that third act is the only act in the movie where I can really say no scene was wasted. You know what I mean? I
And
thought
it flew by.
it flew by. The scene
Yeah.
where the TMZ guy pops in is hilarious. That's just funny. That's just really funny. You
Oh
know, like
yeah. I
it's
was
just,
like hearing his voice too kind of reminded me of just like a Deadpool character, which like made it even better for me.
yeah. I just thought it was funny, and the movie ends with they fulfill their plan of they find out that Jean Jacket cannot digest uh physical things. It can only digest humans, and so they literally just stuff it with inflatable things until it
But
explodes.
even with you knowing this, like you still have to watch it.
Yes.
It's just rare that you're going to see a film that is going to scare you, make you laugh, make you cry, and make you be confused. A lot of confusion.
Yeah, a lot of confusion. Yeah, you will definitely walk out of this theater and just kind of be blazed, like in a daze, trying to figure out like what happened. And I think that leads me to ask Alex, like, what would you rate this movie? What would you give this movie?
I don't do this very often, but I'm giving this film a 5 out of 5.
Whoa!
This is a 5 for me.
Dang.
I was going to rate it lower at first, and then I thought about it, And I only give fives to movies where I'm like, is there anything that I would change? And I can't think of a
Yeah.
single thing in this film that I would have done differently. I just felt like, and I felt like there were so many little like hidden layers that I could rewatch this 4 times and probably pick something different from
Yeah.
it.
That's kind
And
of how the movie's designed.
yeah, it's rare that you get a movie like that. And like the score was like haunting without being like a stereotypical like horror score. It's just like I just felt like the music was done well, the acting was done well. It didn't, I don't know, it's like it was weirdly beautiful. Like just like
Yeah.
it's a beautifully scary film, and I'm sticking with my rating. What would you rate it?
I would give it a. Are we doing out of 5 or out of 10?
I'm doing
I
out
do
of
out of
5.
10.
You can do out of
Okay,
10.
I'll do out of 10 because it'll give a little bit more context. I give it a 7.5. Now, I don't give movies 5 often. I don't give movies 9s often. I barely give 8 5s, okay? So understand 7.5 on my scale.
That's still high for you. Yeah.
It's pretty high. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think where the movie lost points for me personally is just I felt like it blitzed you with a lot of themes. And I do think that I think this movie tightened up the amount of themes better than like Us did, because Us kind of did the same thing where it's like blitzing you with like a lot of themes. I felt like this one tightened. This one had a tighter story to it. This one had a much tighter story, and I 100% agree with you. You can watch this movie 4 different times and see the movie through 4 different perspectives, and I think that's where this movie gets a lot of points. And the acting is. I love Keke Palmer in this. Keke Palmer was probably the best part, in my opinion, the best part of the movie. Hands down. Her character was great.
I think she blew everyone out of the water.
Yeah, out of the water. And then I'm gonna say this. If Keke Palmer is not at least nominated for Best Actress, the awards is just absolute BS. Because
someone needs to get nominated in this film.
Yeah, someone does need to get nominated for this. And I think Keke Palmer should definitely get nominated for Best Actress, because the word murder does not accurately describe her, like the way she treated this role. So, that's how I felt about the movie. I still loved it. If you guys liked it, if you guys like Jordan Peele's movies, obviously go watch this one if you haven't.
This is my favorite Jordan Peele film so far.
See, here's the thing. Get Out is still
Get Out is amazing.
But I liked this more than I liked Us.
Us was my least favorite one, but it's still
Us
great.
Was my least favorite. Us was my least favorite. So I this is above Us, below Get Out. That's still a good thing. That's, these are all good movies. We're just ranking apples and apples. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I think that's all we got for today, Alex. Let's wrap that up. Let's give it the Antlers host.
Nope.
Guys, if you enjoy our show, guys, let us know. You can find us on any social media platform: Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We don't have a Twitch yet. We'll have a Twitch
one day.
TikTok, Instagram. No one uses Facebook unless it's your mom or something. So I don't know. You don't have to follow us on Facebook. Point being is, you can find us on any platform, any streaming platform that has podcast capabilities. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Our mother platform. We should probably shout that one out first. But yes, guys, thank you guys for listening to our show. We always appreciate the ones that listen. And for the ones that don't, we don't need you. Just kidding. Please listen to our show.
Get out of here, but please come by.
Yeah, please come by. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Bye. The Bandwagon Fan Podcast is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Melgosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by your boy, AJ. Our social media is managed by Natalia Kokulia, and our theme song, Lush Waves, is provided to us by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.